Good evening, friends. Welcome to Civil's Manthan. Let's start the today's newspaper Manthan and editorial Manthan analysis of newspaper for today. PM announced yesterday, as we all know, our Prime Minister announced special economic package of rupees 20 lakh crore. So this package of 20 lakh crore is basically to provide the stimulus to make India self-reliant. That is Atmanirbhar. Atmanirbhar Bharat means self-reliant India that our Prime Minister strives to make India of. Now what this Atmanirbhar Bharat is, just we need to remember a few points that have a broad idea how our Prime Minister, our government wants India to move ahead in this COVID-19 kind of emergency situation. Now there are 5 pillars of self-reliant India. These 5 pillars, first one is related to economy, second one infrastructure, third one system, fourth demography, and fifth one is with respect to demand. So have a broad headings of these, broad understanding of these 5 pillars. Just remember these 5: economy, infrastructure, system, demography, and demand. Now this economy is basically we need to go for quantum jumps, not the incremental changes. We need to move fast, having the quantum jumps. Regarding infrastructure, this infrastructure should represent the modern India. System should be technology driven. This demography, this should represent the vibrant demography of the largest democracy, that is India. And demand should be focused for full utilization of power of demand and supply. So these are 5 pillars of self-reliant India that our Prime Minister announced yesterday. Now this Atmanirbhar Abhiyan, it has a package of 20 lakh crore. This 20 lakh crore is around 10% of the GDP. It focuses on land, labor, liquidity and laws. You can say 4L. So it focuses on 4 L's: land, labor, liquidity and laws. It also caters to laborers, middle class, cottage industry, MSME industries. So varied sections of the society, of the economy it caters to, including from laborers, middle class, the small industries, MSMEs, cottage industries as well. Now these reforms are bold reforms and they have the various dimensions. One dimension is regarding agriculture, second one regarding tax system, third one regarding laws, fourth one regarding human resources, that is HR, and fifth one is regarding financial system. So if you see the first one, agriculture, so agriculture, there should be supply chain reforms, right? So supply chain reforms, for example, ENAM, we have seen more and more market mandis have been connected to ENAM during this lockdown situation because of social distancing norms to be followed. So more and more ENAM has got a push in this lockdown. Then second one, tax system should be rational, more and more rational and simplified taxation system to be there. The laws should be simple, clear. The human resources should be capable. The financial system should be strong. So these are various dimensions of the Atmanirbhar Bharat that we that our government announced yesterday. Now in the coming time, there will be various guidelines regarding these, how these 5 pillars will be pushed forward in the economy, the exact dimension. And this 20 lakh crore package, it is not only the government package, it also includes the RBI recent stimulus that RBI has given in the past. So that also includes 20 lakh crore rupees. That includes within this amount only. So the actual amount that the government will announce will be lesser than the 20 lakh crore because some of this has already been included by the RBI announcements. Now coming to the next topic, it is India caught in US-China spat over WHO. India caught in, so these are, this is for how the US and China, they are at spat, our war, in fact, basically by words, by attacking each other, blaming each other, and how India has been caught in this spat and quarrel. Actually, US has been blaming China for all this COVID situation, this novel coronavirus situation. So this pandemic, US blames that it is basically China which did not give the exact real data. The WHO did not in fact provide the exact kind of situation. Like WHO came with that it is a contagious disease very later on. Human to human transmission was accepted by WHO in a later phase of time. So there are many things which were intentionally not disclosed by WHO because of pressure from China, right? So as all these things are as how blamed by USA. So now what actually is happening? Now Taiwan, now there is an issue between China and Taiwan. If you know about China and Taiwan, China claims Taiwan. All right. So there has been an historical issue over these two countries, China and Taiwan. I just give a brief background of these two countries. Once there were civil war kind of situation in China in during the British time, because China was a colony of British, French, America. So various countries, they have the spheres of influence of China. Slowly the Communist Party in China started gaining momentum, and another was, so it was being held by two opposition parties, like one was the Communist Party, another one was some other I don't know the exact name. So one of the faction was defeated by Communist Party of China, and the Communist Party of China got the hold over the mainland China, and the other faction went to the Taiwan. Taiwan is an island nearby China. So the faction that controls in Taiwan basically claims that China is a real government, and China is basically it is basically the real government of the China. Initially, US supported this faction which controlled in Taiwan, that this is the real China, and US even didn't recognize China initially. So China has this one nation policy, that is China and Taiwan both are one. Even Taiwan has one nation policy, that even Taiwan and China are one, but this is the actual government that lies in Taiwan is the real one as claimed by Taiwan. So both these countries, now Taiwan has not got the membership in UN, it has not got the membership in WHO, so it is not recognized globally. Now as there is a spat, quarrel, or fissures between US and China, so US is now trying to support Taiwan, and because even Taiwan, it had said initially, even before China, when it proclaimed that, it said that regarding this pandemic, it had warned the WHO regarding this pandemic, but as it wasn't member of the WHO, World Health Assembly of the WHO, it wasn't given the importance. So now the US, now there will be the election in the World Health Assembly, is the assembly of the WHO, World Health Organization, and India will hold the presidency for the next 3 years. So this is important. So now as India will hold the presidency for the next 3 years, so US wants India to be its own side, as it has moved a resolution in World Health Assembly to include Taiwan. Now once if Taiwan is included, China will see it as a threat to its sovereignty, because China claims Taiwan, it doesn't want some other, say Taiwan to be as an other nation to be part in the WHO, World Health Assembly. So nowadays the meetings are gone by the virtual conferences. So virtual meeting was attended by our Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar with the Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. Now he is also supposed to attend a meeting in the SCO as well, Shanghai Cooperation Organization. SCO is led by Russia and China. So now here the equations will be different. So this is what is going over China, Taiwan, US, India, all these interlinkages. Now we just go through the World Health Assembly, what WHO is. Now World Health Assembly is a forum, it governs basically WHO. So the major, one of the major forum in WHO is WHO, which decides the basically majority of the decisions over its 194 member states. So it is the highest health policy setting body, and it is composed of the health ministers. It also meets every year and in Geneva, which is the headquarters of WHO. So that's all from the WHO side, World Health Assembly. Universal Health Coverage, UHC. So WHO, it promotes universal health coverage. What do you mean by universal health coverage? That means health coverage universally, everybody, every section, every part of the world, all the communities, they should have the quality, they should have the access to the quality healthcare services. So this is what do you mean by universal health coverage. Now coming to the next article, second phase of Vande Bharat mission to begin on May 16. No need to remember the date, just Vande Bharat mission. You just need to know what Vande Bharat mission is. So Vande Bharat we have discussed before as well. It is the effort by the government of India, Indian Air Force, to bring back, to evacuate Indians who are stranded in various other countries during this COVID lockdown situation. Another we have Samudra Setu. What this Samudra Setu mission is? Now same kind of mission pursued by Indian Navy is Samudra Setu. So Vande Bharat by Indian Air Force, Samudra Setu by Indian Navy. So that's all regarding the news items. Now we discuss a few of the editorials. One of the editorial is heading is indelicate imbalance. What this article is about? This article is about recently in yesterday's newspaper as well, there was a news that even we discussed that a panel has been constituted by the Supreme Court, that is to look over the issues of whether 4G services to be restored in Jammu and Kashmir or not. So there was a case was there in Supreme Court that 4G services should be initiated. Now I'll just give a brief background of the whole issue again. Last year in 2019, post when 370 was revoked, Article 35A was even nullified. So to control the situation, lockdown was imposed in Jammu and Kashmir. It was the whole curfew kind of situation. Leaders were arrested. Many of the internet shutdown was there. Many restrictions were put on just to ensure peace and tranquility remains there. With period of time, the petitions were filed in the Supreme Court, and last year one of the petition was regarding the restrictions on the internet. So Supreme Court gave the judgment that access to internet is a fundamental right. Now access to internet is a fundamental right under Article 19(1)(a), that is freedom of speech and expression, and Article 19(1)(g), that is to pursue any business, trade, profession. So Supreme Court considers access to internet as a fundamental right, as it is to be used by in pursuing one's trade, business as well. Now once access to internet is fundamental right, then how Supreme Court can run away from its responsibility that has been enshrined upon it under Article 32? Right, Article 32 says what? It is the right to constitutional remedies. What does it mean? It means if in any case fundamental rights are violated, so people whose fundamental rights have been violated, they can move to the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court will ensure by issuance of writs as well or by any other way that these fundamental rights to be protected. Now once access to internet has been declared fundamental right, but still internet access wasn't provided in the Jammu and Kashmir, though it was internet restrictions were slowly opened. Initially the the phones were opened. Later on the internet was opened, but only by way of 2G. So there was a case that when the whole India enjoys the 4G access to internet, and in the lockdown situation it is very essential to have the 4G internet, but in Jammu and Kashmir it is only 2G internet services. And Article 32, it puts responsibility on Supreme Court that it should protect the fundamental rights. It is the, you can say, the most important right of the whole fundamental right chapter, part 3. Even Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar considers Article 32 as the soul of the Indian Constitution. On the other hand, Supreme Court in this case that has been before it, that 4G services to be opened in Jammu and Kashmir, it said it just put this responsibility, gave this task to be considered by the panel, and this panel to be headed by the secretary of the union government, right? So it means it is not fulfilling its responsibility, its judicial responsibility, or it is going for the abdication, it is abdicating its judicial responsibility that has been put over it by the Constitution, that this article proclaims. Now, Supreme Court also says the government's argument is that it also needs to contain the terrorism, the militancy in the Jammu and Kashmir region. So, complete freedom cannot be given regarding the internet. So, this is the argument of the government. That's all from this article. Now, coming to the next one, getting cash transfers out of a jam. This article is written by Jane Durji. Okay, this article, there is not much to gain from it, just a few of the points. What is the arguments of the writer? Because JAM, Jandhan, Aadhaar Mobile. What is JAM, Jandhan, Aadhaar Mobile? So it is a trinity. By using the Jandhan account, by using Aadhaar, so by using the mobile, so all these Jandhan accounts using Aadhaar, verified, and using the mobile services. So it is basically to ensure more and more financial inclusion. Everybody should have the bank account that should be easily accessible by the people through the mobile phones. As the mobile revolution, everybody, they have the smartphone in the villages, even in the remotest areas also. And by the Aadhaar enabled payment services and other kind of services, now the direct benefit transfer could be ensured. So the government is helping the poor people at this time, vulnerable section at this time of lockdown, by way of DBT, by using the Jandhan Aadhaar. Now the writer here says it is better to go by the Manrega cards rather than by the JAM. Instead of using JAM, they should say they advocates Manrega cards are a better way for providing relief to these vulnerable sections of society, because they are more comprehensive, they are more inclusive. So that's all basic points, major points from this article. Nothing much. You can rest you can neglect it. Another article is Reaffirm Cooperative Federalism. What do you mean by cooperative federalism? Cooperative means cooperation. Federalism, you understand that both union and states, they have their own spheres, their powers, their jurisdiction, where both are independent to work upon. They are not supposed to overreach the jurisdiction, and this power is provided by, is not delegated by the center to state, but provided by the supreme document, that is the Constitution. Now cooperative federalism means there is a cooperation. There is a cooperation between the center and states and among the states, and this is to ensure the overall development of the whole nation, all the states and the nation. So it will help in the nation building exercise. This cooperative federalism is under threat as per, or you can say is somehow jeopardized, as stated by this article. This article says this COVID-19 situation, if we are to tackle this efficiently, then India's success will depend upon center-state collaboration, right? How efficiently center and states they collaborate, that will ensure whether we succeed in this COVID-19 pandemic fight or not. And the author, it is skeptical, very apprehensive that cooperative federalism is not ensured by the center at this time. Okay, regarding certain basics, Casey Ware, you might have heard, you might have studied in your polity as well. He said that Indian Constitution is, what he said? Indian Constitution is quasi-federal. That is not federal in complete, it is not union incomplete, it has the federal powers but not federal incomplete. The example of federal state is the United States of America. Then the Granville Austin, he gave the concept that Indian Constitution is, he gave the concept of cooperative federalism. Now, how there are fissures in this cooperation between center and states in today's time? It says that Jones classification into red and orange, it has evoked sharp criticism from the states. Why? Because this article claims that, and the states also says that when the center decided over the Jones classification, they were not consulted into completely. So their consultation was not considered, that was not put into while deciding the Jones classification, that which zone will be red, which zone will be orange. Many states wanted only the containment zones to be red and rest where they can open certain economic activities. Well, this pandemic duration, all this time, the Disaster Management Act has been evoked, and under this, powers have been gained by the central government, and using this only various guidelines have been framed and all. Now there is section 11(2) which says that when the national plan is to be decided, this national plan has to be in the consultation of states, right? Now when it says it has to be in consultation of states, but the consultation was not taken from the states with the states as claimed by this article and the states as well. Second one is lack of funds. There have been lack of funds. We know economic activities have taken a dip, they have plummeted in fact. So states exchequer are going to get, they are getting just lower and lower. States are saying they don't have any funds, scarcity of funds is there. And even during this time, what happens basically in the PM cares, you know, that is the donation to fight this pandemic, and the central government fund it has got the CSR exemption. What is CSR? Corporate Social Responsibility exemptions. Whereas the funds that is to be given to the CM relief fund, that does not avail the CSR exemption, right? So it somehow disincentivizes donations to CM relief fund. Secondly, states, their exchequer is dried up because there had been lack of liquor sale because liquor sale ban. There had been huge loss to revenue was there in the recent. Now the liquor sale has been allowed by the various states. That is a different thing now. Also the decline in the sale of petrol, diesel as well because of the lower demands. No land dealings, so no revenue from the stamp duties to the states. Even the GST collections that have not been, there have been dues from the centers to states. Those dues have not been cleared. That again hampers the state exchequer. Now this article says that in any of the disaster, say in any of the pandemic, any of the disease where the government is to respond, states are the first responders, right? When states are the first responders, so states have to be empowered to deal with the situation directly. And even if you say, we can add one more point, it is not only states but the district administration or the local government, PRIs, they are the first responders in case if any of the situation happens there. So principle of subsidiarity should also be followed. So it is a real decentralization, we can say, or principle of subsidiarity means what? That whatever functions that can be performed at the lowest level, that is PRIs, all those functions to be performed by PRIs. What PRIs cannot perform, that can be given to the states, and what states cannot function, that can be given to the union. So are you able to understand this? What PRIs can function, all the functions to be performed by PRIs. What PRIs cannot do, that can be given to states. What states cannot do, that can be given to the union. So this is the principle of subsidiarity. Here the delegation power is from bottom to up, we can say bottoms up approach it is. Next article we have is from our Vice President Venkaiah Naidu ji. There was it is the second part of this article. The earlier article we discussed yesterday. So this article is about the relevance of Rajya Sabha. Do numbers matter in Rajya Sabha? So we discussed yesterday how Rajya Sabha, what is the importance of Rajya Sabha? When the Constituent Assembly debate happened, certain members they favored they were the proponents of Rajya Sabha. Then there were many of the oppositions to the Rajya Sabha as well. We discussed many of the points. Now let's further our discussion on the same topic. It says that our Indian Constitution gives parity of powers to both houses between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, except in certain cases. What are those exceptions? For example, Money Bill and Finance Bill. In Money Bill and Finance Bill, Rajya Sabha has negligible powers. Only the Lok Sabha decides the Money Bill and Finance Bill. Wherever the money comes in, Rajya Sabha don't have the voting powers. They cannot make changes to the bill that is brought in the Lok Sabha. Maximum it can do what? It can maximum delay the bill by 14 days. That's it. On the other hand, Rajya Sabha also has certain special powers over Lok Sabha. What are those powers? One thing is it can empower the parliament under article, just give me a moment, it can empower the parliament under article 249 or say 248, just check it, that if Rajya Sabha is to make laws on the state list, alright, if Rajya Sabha is to make laws on the state list, then under article 248 or 249, Rajya Sabha can pass a resolution by special majority. What is the special majority? So it means what? Rajya Sabha can pass a resolution by special majority, not less than 2/3 of the members present and voting. And by this resolution, it can empower the parliament to make laws on state list. So the parliament is to make laws on state list, then it is the Rajya Sabha which authorizes the parliament to do so. Secondly, regarding All India services, article 312, if parliament is to make any law on the All India services, whether to add on any All India services or to remove any All India services, to make any changes, then it is the Rajya Sabha which passes the resolution to authorize parliament to do so. So these are certain special powers of Rajya Sabha over Lok Sabha. However, we can see that certain times it is seen as obstructionist in nature, obstructing the development process by obstructing certain many bills, and they keep on pending and are not being passed by the parliament in this way. Now we discussed that the Rajya Sabha Secretariat, it made certain survey, make certain analysis, and by this we can see that in the last 68 years since the first general election in 1952, the government had the majority in Rajya Sabha for 29 years and it remained in minority for 39 years. It means for a major period of time the government was in minority in the Rajya Sabha, but still there was the lawmaking that kept on going, there was the deliberations kept on going, so it did not halt the legislative process, it did not halt the development process in a way. So this is certain some brief that is given. Secondly, there have been only 3 joint sittings. When the joint sitting happens, whenever there is a deadlock in a bill, For example, when the Lok Sabha passes the bill and Rajya Sabha rejects it, or the opposite thing happens. So in any of the case, whenever there is deadlock, whenever both the houses does not consent to the bill, the deadlock can be resolved by referring the bill to the joint sittings. And who refer it? President asks for the joint sitting, and who presides over the joint sitting? President asks over it, and who presides over? Speaker. Speaker of Lok Sabha presides over the joint sittings, and the rules are followed. The rules of the House at that time are followed as per the rules of the Lok Sabha. So it says what? Only 3 times joint sittings have been there. First one is in 1961, when there was dowry prohibition bill was stuck in Rajya Sabha when it was not passed, even though Nehru government was in majority even in Rajya Sabha. Still, many of the members of the Congress party didn't favor this dowry prohibition bill. Secondly, in 1978, Banking Service Commission bill, it was rejected in Rajya Sabha. So again, it was referred for the this joint sitting. Thirdly, in 2002, over the Prevention of Terrorism bill, POTA. Again, it was not passed in the Rajya Sabha, but again then joint sitting was asked for. Then it says that Rajya Sabha, it is also taunted at sometimes as regressive in nature. How so? Because it opposed the bill that asked for the abolishment of privy purses to erstwhile rulers. So bill was brought in to abolish the privy purses, and this bill was opposed by the Rajya Sabha. What do you mean by the abolishment of privy purses? What are the privy purses? During the British time, British had by way of subsidiary alliance and all, they had the paramountcy over the princely states as well. So these princely states, the rulers like Nawabs, Raja, Maharaja, all they were getting certain special privileges in terms of privy purses, certain pensions, certain more and more, certain kind of the emoluments to these. So that were kept on going even after independence. So a huge amount of money, sum of exchequer, was caused to these privy purses. So this was brought by during the Indira Gandhi government, but Rajya Sabha then didn't accede to the. So it is seen as a regressive in nature. Then secondly, the spirit of cordiality is required, but it is also found dent in certain times, because one of the example is given in 1952. In 1952, Rajya Sabha members were not included in the Public Accounts Committee. Right now, Public Accounts Committee, they have the members from both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, but they were not included. Rajya Sabha members were not included in the first time when it was constituted in 1952, right? So this shows the how the cordiality has got a dent. Then this article also discusses that about the present government. The present government, though it does not have the required number of Rajya Sabha members, the different parties, they have rose to the occasion. So it is not that every time it is all about Rajya Sabha opposing the bills that is presented by the government, by the executives basically. So even the different parties that have come together to pass certain bills as well of very important nature. For example, GST, for example, IBC, Insolvency in Bankruptcy Code, Triple Talaq, Unlawful Activities and Reorganization of Jammu and Kashmir Citizenship Amendment Act as well. So all these things, it was passed by both of the houses, right? Now we discuss about the productivity of Rajya Sabha, how the increasing disruptions in Rajya Sabha have hampered the productivity of Rajya Sabha and the productivity of our legislative process. It says that till 1997, the productivity of Rajya Sabha was around 100% and more, but it has declined to 61% during 2015 to 19. So the productivity has declined a lot. Second is the time spent by Rajya Sabha on the legislation. How much time is spent by the Rajya Sabha? how much is the oversight function? This oversight function, how Rajya Sabha can perform its oversight function. Oversight over what? Oversight over the executives, oversight over the government. And how this can be performed? This can be performed by the various parliamentary process. For example, question hour. For example, various motions, no contents motion as well, right? In the question hour, there are three kind of the question that can be asked by the house, by the members. Start question, unstart question, short notice questions, right? There are various motions that are being adjournment motion as well, for example. So these are various tools by which the legislature, the parliament upholds the oversight function or puts the accountability over the executives. Here these are given. The discussions as well, short duration discussion, 0 hour, special mentions, discussion of budgets as well, the working of ministries. So all these things, they help ensuring accountability over the accountability of the executives by ensuring the by way of parliament, specifically in this case Rajya Sabha. So ultimately Venkaiah Naidu ji says that all the stakeholders, they need to ensure that Rajya Sabha should retain not only its independence, but it should not also be seen as disruptive. On one hand, Rajya Sabha is very essential. It is house of wisdoms. We know we are in a ours is a bicameral legislature. Under this bicameral legislature, we have parliament. One house is Lok Sabha, another is Rajya Sabha. Lok Sabha, it gets elected after every 5 years. Rajya Sabha, 1/3 members are elected after every 2 years. So it means this house does not get vacant, this house does not get dissolved. So this particular feature provides certain permanency in the parliamentary process. So this is how the bicameral nature of our parliament functions. So on one side, Rajya Sabha should ensure its independence, because it is house of wisdom, house of elders we say, because on one side the Lok Sabha, it is dominated, the majority is by the government, by the ruling party, but on the other hand Rajya Sabha need to ensure that the government is not able to use the arbitrary powers, that is checked by the parliament. So parliamentary responsibility of the executives is ensured by the Rajya Sabha. Otherwise, the majoritarian nature of Lok Sabha could have easily evaded the parliamentary responsibility. Well, that's all from this article, and that's all for today's discussion. You can also go through our yesterday's article over Rajya Sabha. So these two articles, discussion over Rajya Sabha, completely discusses, and you can easily bring out certain points, and you can easily write a very good answer over it. So that's all for today's discussion. Thank you very much. If you like our videos, you subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon so you get all the updates, and you can share our videos as well. Thank you. Thanks a lot.